Alright, it's time for what I believe will be the final update and forecast for the Southern California fire. So, right off the bat there, it sounds like it's mostly some good news. I mean, if we're looking at the satellite imagery for what I think is the fourth or fifth day in a row, there's no smoke coming off of the fires whatsoever. Interestingly, on that satellite imagery, it almost looks like a little moisture starts moving up from the south. Maybe some of that will find its way over the fires, but even if that doesn't, the winds are shifting onshore. That's going to push in moisture. So not expecting anything to flare up anytime soon. And we did have some critical weather the last few days with dry conditions, very gusty winds, especially Monday night into Tuesday morning. So there was some fear that the fires might flare back up again because ever since Sunday, we haven't seen any smoke coming off of them or seen any heat indications on this map. But looking at it once again, no red stars on the Palisades map. If there was heat on it, or if anything did flare back up again, we would see those red stars. Same with Kenneth, same with Hurst, same with Eaton. Pretty amazing work done by CAL FIRE and just all the personnel on these fires to have these fires not flare back up during these very critical conditions we've had the last few days. And luckily, when we speak about those conditions, they are finally coming to an end, and it looks like the weather pattern is moving away from that Santa Ana dry air kind of pattern that we've been in for quite some time now. So with all the good news that I'm going to be saying, I will say there's still some work to be done on the fire. It still needs to be made safe before people can come back in here. So if you're in that red, that is still technically an evacuation order, and it's always good to just pay attention to those orders because it just makes all those guys who've been working endlessly for the last 1 to 2 weeks, just makes their job easier and most likely makes it so more people can get back in there sooner if we all just cooperate there. So yeah, not expecting any flare-ups. But just looking at the National Weather Service, I think this sums it up. Yesterday, we did still have the red flag warning. The day before that, we had the particularly dangerous situation. And looking at it now, it's a frost advisory. So that rarely happens when you're talking about big wildfires like this, that you go from a red flag warning to a frost advisory. But that's what happens when you get fires in January because of the lack of rain. And rain is definitely something that we'll be kind of praying for down for Southern California because this is the time of the year where we can continue to get these Santa Ana wind events. And as long as the fuels stay dry, if it's windy, you could have fire. But looking at it right now, the winds have officially calmed down. That's 3 miles per hour, 3 miles per hour, 4 miles per hour. And even the max winds today, you click in here, 16 was the max gust, 18 max gust, 13 max gust. That means your sustained winds were about 5 to 6 miles per hour. And then what I like to see, some of the moisture finally starting to come in. Relative humidity right now in the low 40s, but the one by the coast, that's actually getting up to mid 40s. Max RH though, 82% there. That's a great recovery. Some of that moisture finds its way into the fuels. And then if we look at the forecast for tomorrow, we'll look at the wind gusts first. Well, first off, calm winds right now. We just saw that on the actual weather observations. And then if we look into overnight and into tomorrow morning, that's when a lot of the Santa Ana events happen. Calm winds, those are gusts around 5 to 8 miles per hour. And then tomorrow afternoon, it does look like there's a little something up in the higher elevations, but around the Palisades Fire, 10 to 15 mile per hour gusts. That's basically non-existent wind. And you look at the direction it's coming from, it's actually onshore now. So that's going to help push in some moisture instead of bringing in dry air like it has been for the last week to 2 weeks whenever all of this started. I believe it was January 2nd, so probably about 2 weeks at this point. So the other thing that we like with those onshore winds, one, the fact that they're not very strong, but two, if we look at humidity, watch what happens as we start to get more of those onshore winds. That blue starts to creep in, and our relative humidity increases into the mid-80s. That's going to be over the Palisades Fire. If anything is still smoldering, that's going to help firefighters kind of mop up the situation there. and just further the lack of any flare-ups that we've had the last few days. Those are some of the best relative humidity recoveries that we've seen since these fires started. Again, tomorrow afternoon, it does look like it is still going to be a bit dry and windy up towards the north of these fires, but that's at 1 p.m., and you look at the same area where we had the Palisades Fire, and the relative humidity is in the mid-50s. So that's about, 40%, or about 40% higher than some of the days that we've seen out there. I'd say most of the days we've seen out there. And then once again, Friday night, great recoveries, even more moisture moving in. So weather-wise, looks like we're getting a great break, not only Friday, but if we look into Saturday, we still have that moisture over the area. So let's all just kind of let our guard down a little bit. I am very hesitant to say that in wildfire videos, especially in California, especially when there's dry fuels out there, but I think we all need this change in the weather pattern right here, so let's definitely just enjoy it. Now I say that to then say this. It does look like there might be a little something on the horizon next week. We'll just read this quick statement right here. It says, for tonight, expect cooler temperatures. There's even the frost advisory in place. Light winds and good humidity recovery. That is just exactly what we want to see. Checking all the boxes, cool temperatures, light winds, moisture moving in. Monday through the middle of next week, very dry conditions are expected with the possibility of Santa Ana winds to return. So that's where I say, you know what, let's just take the next few days, enjoy Friday, Saturday, Sunday, where we have some moisture moving in, calm winds, because it does look like there's some dry, potentially windy conditions on the horizon. And then it says widespread critical fire weather conditions will be possible during this time period. So I don't want to overly scare anybody, but I mean, that is on the horizon. So we're going to continue to think about that, keep an eye on it. If there is something that you can do to, I don't know, if you're down in Southern California, prepare your home as well as you can before that happens. Take advantage of some of the cool conditions to maybe clear out some vegetation around your home. Could be smart, just considering how dry it still is down there. And then once you've done that, everything else is pretty much out of your control. So then, just have to kind of hope and pray for the best. So I also just want to show resources assigned just to give us further confidence that these fires are good at this point. Over 4,000 personnel still on the Palisades Fire. Eaton Fire is still over 3,000 personnel. And then they have continued to do more damage assessments. So I just wanted to show some of those numbers. Palisades Fire is up over 3,000 structures destroyed with 8 fatalities. And then Eaton Fire is over 6,000 structures destroyed and 16 fatalities. So just want to reiterate, these are some of the worst wildfires potentially that we've ever seen. So just thoughts and prayers go out to everybody who's been affected by this. It's going to be most likely a long recovery. So, obviously there are lots of bad things that come from wildfires like this, but hopefully this could be something that brings people together and gives them a sense of community where hopefully everybody can find support in one another. And as always, yeah, I'll be keeping you in my prayers tonight and moving forward. And then for anybody who hasn't been able to move back in because we do still have those evacuation orders in place, I put the damage assessment map not only for the Palisades Fire, but I found one for the Eaton Fire as well. This is something I didn't have in previous videos. So if you are one of the people who lives in this area, what you can do is click into this link, and it may be hard to look at, but sometimes it's better just to know. So that link is in the description where you can click into the street view. Black on this means not destroyed, red means destroyed, and it does look like it was that portion of the fire where you see a lot of that red in there. So yeah, like I said, recovery is probably going to be a long ways, but at least we've got a break in the weather forecast as things cool down, as some moisture starts to move in, and then we'll keep an eye on that forecast Monday through Wednesday of next week, but we're not going to worry about that just yet. So hopefully these videos have been helpful, I'm glad to say I think it's going to be my last one for a little while. Hopefully throughout the entire rest of the next 6 months until summer comes around. In the meantime, I will start doing maybe some educational videos just to, so it was a good reminder that wildfire is a huge problem in California, and I hope to be part of the solution by just learning as much as I can about it, trying to figure out what we can do so these kind of events don't happen. So if you feel called to kind of address this problem with me, you can stay tuned and we'll see what we can do moving forward. Thanks for watching.